Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is a little mini-series for Mei Mei and a male listener. I know I don't have many male listener stories on my YouTube channel, but what I lack in male stories, I make up for by making them in either a two-part one-shot or a series. So I hope that makes up for it a little bit. I know that I completely forgot to use the YN name to indicate a male listener in the Gojo one-shot with a male listener, but I've remembered this time. So instead of me saying yin for the listener, it'll be YN to differentiate that it is a male persona this time. Anyway, I won't say any more. We'll just get into it. Here is For Money, Mei Mei X Male Listener, Part 1. Enjoy! Ever since you had discovered your ability of being able to see curses, you had lived in fear. It was a whole different world out there, and it took you ages to realise what was going on. When you admitted to the things that you could see, people called you crazy, other people thought that you had some kind of mental illness or was suffering some kind of PTSD, but nope, it was just that you could see the negativity manifest into grotesque beings that haunted this realm under the cover of invisibility. Charming. What made it somewhat worse was that you were part of a special rescue crew that got sent in to retrieve bodies of those who had passed away during some expedition of some kind, so you came up against curses all the time. For the most part, you had managed to keep away from them, the curses, but when you were called to retrieve bodies from a dangerous part of the mountain that was known for its suicides, you knew that you would probably need to call in some extra kind of help. You just had a feeling that these curses in this area might be a little bit more of a threat. After doing some research, you found a school in Tokyo that specialised in training sorcerers to exorcise such curses, and so you reached out to them to see if there was anyone that they could spare to come with you on this mission to deal with any of the curses that you were bound to bump into. "It'll be a 3-day mission," you said on the phone to the man on the other end, but he didn't appear to like the sound of it being for so long. "You would be better off hiring an ex-student from here," he said. "Actually, I do know of someone who would do it, if you paid them," they said. "Yeah," you replied quickly. Yes, please give me their details. I'll pay any price, since I know what I'm possibly going up against, and I need protection," you said. "Okay," the man replied, giving you the name and number of someone he thought who would be suitable for the job. You thanked him and then hung up and looked at the piece of paper with the name Mei Mei written on it, along with her number. "Oh, a woman," you thought. "This will be interesting." You rang the number and a female voice answered on the other end of the line. "Hello?" the sultry voice asked. Hello, is this Mei Mei?" you asked. "Speaking," she replied. "Oh, hello, my name is YN," you said, with a smile into the receiver. "I was given your number by a teacher in Tokyo Jujutsu High. I have the unfortunate ability to be able to see curses and negative energy, but I have no skills to fight them, so I'm reaching out to a professional who might be able to give me some assistance during a mission," you said. "Paid, of course," you added on the other end, just to make her a little more keen. "Yes, of course," Mei Mei replied. "It should be worth my time. How long is the mission for and how much are you willing to pay?" she asked. Oh wow, she's getting straight to business, you thought with a smirk. I like a woman who shoots straight. You then launched into your next spiel, giving her the details of the mission. "This is going to be a dangerous operation, as I'm a special operations rescue medic," you said to her. "Ah yes, SORM," she replied. "I've worked with your people before. Are you doing a body retrieval on Mount Abunai?" Oh, she's good, you thought with surprise. Yes, I am. I'm impressed," you added, feeling much more confident now that she was familiar with the location and your profession. "You know your stuff. How did you know it would be on Mount Abunai?" "I've been around," she commented. "I heard the news of a group going missing up there last week and assumed that they would need retrieval. I'm familiar with the terrain and the grade of curses on Mount Abunai since I've worked there before. I know my worth," she added. "I won't accept anything less than $100 an hour." You admit you almost choked on that one, but she sounded like she was the perfect fit for the role, and if it meant that she was going to keep you and your small crew safe on the trip, then you were willing to pay. "If I offered you $120 an hour for the duration of the 3 days, making it 24 hours coverage, would that be sufficient?" you asked. 24 hours over 3 days is a long time. You do realise I won't be sleeping for all of those 3 days, if you want full protection," she replied sassily. "Yeah," you said with a nod. "Make it $250 an hour for 3 days, 24 hours coverage, and you have a deal," she said. You thought for a second, but you knew you had to pay any price, really. Lives were far more important than money, so you quickly agreed. "Okay, done," you said. I trust you know what you're doing. Would I be charging if I didn't know what I was doing? She asked back sassily, and you laughed. It's a good point, you said with a smile into the phone. You and Mei Mei chatted for a little longer about the ins and outs of how this would work, where you would meet on the day, what day it was, and then you said goodbye, promising to keep in touch with her to keep her up to date with various things, as you got to know more about the situation. Listen, you said as you spoke to her on the phone a few days before the mission. Like I said before, I can see curses and I understand how they form and what they're capable of, but I just don't have the skills to fight them myself. That's why I have you coming along, you reiterated. The only problem is, I don't know what to tell my crew about why you're with us. They might think I'm a little crazy if I start talking about curses and cursed energy and all of that. I've been shunned for such speak in the past. Having said that, if they do believe me, it might scare the dickens out of them, and I don't want that either, you admitted. Don't worry, she said. I have a friend who can cast a spell over them, so everything they see and hear on the trip, they will later forget. Oh, that's handy, he said with relief. If that could happen, that'd be great. Consider it done, she said. But I also should mention, it comes with a fee. Oh, of course it does. You deadpanned, but you weren't being rude, you just figured it would. You asked the price and agreed to it, and so the day of the mission you met with Mei Mei and the friend of hers who would erase the memories of your crew, and then walked with them back to the car that you all hopped in, and then headed up the side of Mount Abernai to the highest available car park, and then you parked your car there. As you hopped out, other members of your crew started to pull up in their own cars, and you all greeted one another, and then you introduced Mei Mei and her friend. I've brought along some help for this mission, you said, gesturing to her. She was quite a striking look with her long silver braids covering her face, and you had to admit this kind of tickled your curiosity. What woman would wear her hair in such an odd fashion? It was a little alluring, though. She appeared to have quite a pretty face underneath the braid, so why hide it? But that was a question for another time. Well, hello and welcome aboard, your single female colleague said happily to Mei Mei upon introduction, extending her hand to Mei Mei. What's your specialty? Forensics, she replied without skipping a beat, and your colleague nodded. Oh, I see, she said, accepting that answer without any further questions. No one else asked a thing, so you took that as a sign to debrief everyone, and then you'd be on your way. The friend of Mei Mei's was to quietly cast a spell while you were debriefing, and then once everyone had been sealed, you were good to go. So it's a dangerous recovery from the north face of Mount Abernai, you said to your crew. We've only done this type of rescue once before, and it was a bit hairy. The weather can change at any moment, so we need to move quickly and then get off the north face for sleeping at night. You said, I'm hoping to recover 2 of the 5 bodies this afternoon and bring them with us to our campsite, and then recover the next 3 tomorrow and then transport them all back the day after. You said, but I do understand that we have 7 people here and 5 possible bodies to recover, so if need be, we can call in the rescue helicopter and lift them out. But again, that's if we find all 5. They could be anywhere. You added, do we know what they were attempting to do out here on this mountain? One of your crew asked. I believe they were wanting to canyon, but then disappeared. You said, so they could be deep inside a canyon, unable to be rescued. Ah, I see, the crew member replied. You looked up as Mei Mei signalled you, standing behind the group so that they couldn't see her very well, and you cleared your throat. Okay, let's move out, you said, after getting the signal from her to indicate that the sealing of your crew's memories had been done. I do know where the first canyon is. We start on a track and then it gets quite narrow and patchy, and then the last of it we'll have to make our own way through the bush using only this map and compass, you said, holding up your map and compass. Yeah, don't let Marcus lead, one guy teased another. He almost got us lost last rescue. I did not, Marcus retorted. I knew where I was going. Yeah, straight off the cliff and to your grave site, the first guy replied. There were chuckles amongst the others and you looked at Mei Mei. Sorry, dark sense of humour, you said with an apologetic look on your face. It's fine. I'm used to dark humour, she said calmly, and the other girl of the group smiled at her. Oh, you'll fit right in then, she said with a smile. And there is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for next week for part 2. I'll see you then.